very good job today.
Thank you.
Sorry,
No,
that's great. It was excellent.
If my arms were just a smidge longer.
Oh,
They did a really good job.
Is everyone freaked out about that growth?
Yeah.
Okay, we are good to go whenever you are.
All right, welcome everyone. It's 12 o'clock. We'll go ahead and call the Finance Committee meeting for November 20th, 2025 to order. We have roll call.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Rod Beck. Here. Zach Brooks. Trevor Chadwick. Here. Eddie Kling.
Here.
Mary May.
Here.
Ty Overton. Here. And Victor Rodriguez.
Here.
All right, Madam Chair, we have four.
Excellent. Thank you very much. Item number 3 on our agenda is approval of the consent agenda that's found.
No open discussion.
Oh, sorry, skip right.
I don't have any, but I'm curious.
No, I'm just out of the gate. Any announcements or discussion items before we move on?
Well, Chris Craig is gonna be happy because we're gonna open up the Greenbelt again there on through Expo, because we can't close it, so we can get it ready to go for the first part.
I'll consider that a personal favor. I did want to I'll let the Finance Committee know first, we're officially under contract with the Government Affairs firm now. And I'll probably send out today or tomorrow the announcement of the date when we'll do that December meeting. I've been checking all of your agendas to make sure that that legislative forum event will be on a day when there won't be a conflict of interest, or a conflict of schedule, and also no conflicts of interest either. But and then they will take care of inviting the legislative delegation. Want to try to get as many board members there.
Excellent.
So do we get to know who yet?
Westerberg Associates is the name of the firm. Primary contact is Brody Aspen. They have clients. They have some clients in the transportation arena, and they know members on both the Senate and House Transportation committees, and so they should be.
Congratulations.
I'm excited.
It's good to have that button down.
Oh,
Yeah, and move forward. Very good. Any other announcements, discussions? Okay, seeing none, we'll go ahead and move on now to item 3, approval of the minutes.
Make a motion to approve those minutes. Second.
All right, we've got a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, thank you very much. Item 4, found on page 5, review the report of disbursements made in the reporting period. We'll turn that over to Meg.
So the listing of our expenditures since you last met is included in your packet. We provide this report to the Finance Committee an opportunity to provide oversight and review. No comments, but happy to answer any questions.
Thank you very much, Meg. Any questions or comments? All right, seeing none. Go ahead and we're asking for approval.
No, it's just
No.
information.
Okay, it's just. Okay. Item number 5, this one is an action item. We're looking for approval of the variance report from October 1st, 2024 through September 30th of 25. And this is found on page 28 of your packet. Okay,
Thank you, sorry.
you're our star.
Trying to operate Zoom here. There we go. Thank you, Madam Chair. So the variance report begins on page 28 in your packet with the memo. My comments today will just focus on the variance report by line item found on page 30 of your packet. So I'll provide a brief summary of the key variance, and then we'll talk a little bit about the status of our fund balance as of the end of the year. Thank you. So on page 28, toward the top of the page is the federal grant revenues. We have unexpended consolidated planning grant revenues from fiscal year 25 of about $279,000. We will carry those over to our FY26 budget. You'll see that in the next agenda item. Similarly, we have some unexpended off the top funds that we will also carry over into FY 26, so we'll talk about those later. We have some projects that are underway or were underway in fiscal year 2025 that will continue on into 26. So we're carrying over those revenues for Community Motion 2055, the high capacity transit PAL or the Let's Ride Treasure Valley, the carbon reduction strategy, regional waterway pathway, and the Safe Streets and Roads for All implementation project that we call SPEARS, the pedestrian evaluation of pedestrian safety. And all of those 5 items all have corresponding expenses associated with them, so we will be carrying over both revenue and expense on those. A little further down the page in our other revenues, everything is on track with the budget. Just a couple of notes is the orthography and modeling sales that we sell to the public, to engineering firms and the like. We do not budget those revenues, so you'll always see it as a positive variance, although in the larger picture, it's a relatively small share of revenue. And then our interest revenue, because we continue to have favorable rates as well as higher than anticipated cash, we're doing a little bit better there. On the expense side, our personal cost overall came in at about 94% of the budget. We had a couple of vacancies during the year. As of September 30th, we still have 1 open position. On the direct expenses, the professional services and public involvement costs are well under budget. Corresponding with those carried over revenues that I talked about, we will continue those projects into 2026. On the equipment piece, we have a favorable variance there. The tip software that we acquired came in at about 20,000 less than we had anticipated, so that was a true savings. And then the indirect, which is the last line item on the page or toward the bottom of the page, a little bit of savings there, mostly in our IT support services, utilities, and then small technology and office purchases came in under budget. On our fund balance, in the budget, we had planned to draw about 465,000 from our fund balance to balance the budget, cover match requirements as well as the shortfall. What we actually drew was about 316,000, so a favorable result there.
Significant.
But still a draw from fund balance. So this is what our fund balance picture looks like going back to 2015. And some folks that have been on the finance committee for a while know this story, that we've been gradually building that fund balance over time, but sort of leveled out in 2023, and then we're starting to use up some of that balance. Your direction to us was $1 million or 4 months of expenditures of the required cash reserve, so we are still well above that amount, but we are starting to see some boost of fund balance. So this is a similar picture. The blue bars are what we budgeted. The orange bars are what actually happened going back a number of years to 2018 on this graph. And so you can see that building up, but now in these past couple of years, we're starting to use that fund balance up. And then finally, the blue bar here is the actual fund balance as the end of the year for 2026. That's a projected number. Orange is 4 months of expenditures, which is what what you all have directed us to maintain as a cash reserve. And then just for comparison, 6 months of budget expenses in gray. So bear in mind that 4 or 6 month budget figure is going to vary quite a bit from year to year, depending on the project that we do. So we have the high capacity transit study, for example, was $1 million project. So that's going to drive our expenses up quite a bit, but it does have corresponding revenues. So the takeaway from this slide and the others is that we are still well above the requirement for reserve on fund balance, but we will be looking in 2027 and beyond at revenue opportunities, at savings opportunities, so we can begin to bring that into line, because actually we will run out of excess fund balance. So that concludes my comments on the variance report. Pages 31 and 32 in your packet is the same information, it's just by program. Then there is a balance sheet on page 3. Happy to answer your questions.
All right, thank you so much. Mayor Chadwick?
What, you might have said, I don't know, what's the bad debt expense, the 15.9?
I'm glad Ashley's here. We did have, remind me,
Somebody from orthography that we anticipated
yes,
that dropped out after it was already booked.
yeah, thank you. So our orthography project, we have our participants in the project that give contributions to us. So we have had one of our member agencies make a commitment to that. and then elected not to participate going forward. So we've already recorded the invoice as a receivable in fiscal year 24. We found out in 25 that they withdrew, and so we had to write that invoice off.
Very good. Follow-up? Good.
I'm sure just I have two questions. One is the 4 months of reserve.
Mhm.
So how much is a 6 month reserve? I think you had that as a possibility, but so the policy of this group is that it's a 4 month reserve. In some ways, it's good to have a 6 month reserve. And so I think you said that was $1.4 million.
Yeah, so for fiscal year 2025, we had budgeted expenses of 6 million. So that would be about a $3 million reserve at 6 months. In total expenditures in at fiscal year 26, we're budgeting just over 5 million in expenses, so that would be a $2.5 million reserve.
So right now, having your reserve, I'm sorry, Paul. So having your reserve at $1.4 million, I think is currently where it is.
No,
Really?
the direction from you all was $1 million or 4 months of expenditures, whichever is greater. So right now, today, at this moment, we have about 2.2 million in cash on hand. So that covers not quite 6 months, but 26.
Okay. I think I support that policy and then a minimum of $1 million, but whichever is greater,
Right.
4 months. So I wouldn't want to go below that at all. And so 4 months, so really, as we look at your fund balance, your reserves, you don't have a lot of wiggle room.
Right.
As we look to the future. And I have one other follow-up question. So this isn't really a budget question, but I noticed that there is one position that's open. Is that just having difficulty hiring that position, or what is that?
Good, Madam Chair. Yeah, so sort of a combination of both. We've identified candidates a few cycles through, but it's an entry-level position, and they've gone to other positions around the region. We're in that process right now, and we've got candidates identified. This is for the ped bike counter technician position that we have. And hopefully we'll have that resolved soon. But one never knows. And I know there have been some sort of secondary impacts in the data we've been able to provide to local agencies because of that. And so we're hoping that we'll have that resolved. Certainly have them on hand and out working last spring.
I was just curious, so thank you so much.
Go ahead.
If I just might add just a little bit, it's the bike ped counter technician position is not a traditional planning position for us. We're not looking for someone with a background in planning because it's mostly field work. It is some data collection, it is some data analysis, but it's a good deal of field work, just going out and placing the counters and so forth. So we've looked at some different types of candidates for that position. So it's outside the pool of what we're normally looking at.
Looking for.
Thanks for that clarification. Mayor Chadwick?
I just, let me add, this position's, I would just say, man, it seems like it's always open. It's been open for a while.
It has.
Is
been
it
open-
something that we need to evaluate the pay scale on that to get somebody to come in and actually do the job? I'm just curious.
I could, yeah, so Meg and I talked about that. It's something that's on the table, but we're gonna at least get through the cycle that we're in right now to see if candidates that we're, well, yeah. And then if that's not the case, what we've talked about doing is maybe adding a bit more planning technician type role for this job. And that's a possibility, but for now we're sticking with the way we got it posted. We really think that it's once we get someone in and started that they'll stick for a while, but we've got to get them in and started.
Gotta get them in the door.
And it's competitive, kind of a competitive marketplace for the folks that have that. And because that's not like their career path per se, it's not like they're really like, I want to go work in the field installing bike counters. Surprisingly, right? That, other things will come along that are kind of comparable, fungible type roles for them. And so they'll take the others.
Any other questions or comments? Okay, seeing none, this is an action item looking for approval of the variance report as presented.
So moved.
I'll second that.
Victor got the
Victor
second.
got it for us.
All right, any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
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 Okay, motion passes. Thank you very much. 5B, we're looking for a recommendation of approval for revision 1 of the FY 2026 Unified Planning Work Program and Budget. It's found on page 34 in your packet.
Thank you.
Nay. Back
you.
to you.
So we come to you this time every year with our revision 1. We've closed out our books for fiscal year 2025. We've completed the audit process, so we know exactly what our carryover amounts are, so we're ready to do revision 1 of our budget. So the complete document is in your packet for review. I am going to focus just on the changes from the original budget, which was approved by the board in August. And that schedule is found on page 52 in the packet. I realized as I prepared my slides that I made an error in my numbering when I handed it to Terry, so they ended up in the middle of the packet instead of at the beginning. But sorry about that. My fault. But on page 52 is that summary schedule. So we'll just walk through those changes quickly. The first line there is that carryover of the 2025 consolidated planning grants that we talked about in the variance report, about 278,000 there. Next up is the carryover of the off the top funds. We have 164,000 in carryover. The board's direction at the August meeting was that we would use some of those. Sorry, let me step back. In fiscal year 2025, we had an additional kind of one-time amount for off the top funding. Normally it's about 306,000. We had some added dollars to it. And so the board's direction was to use at least some of those dollars to expand the project development program for 2026 and do a couple of additional projects. So that is what we were doing, as well as carrying over one project that is wrapping up in project development. So a total of 119,000 there. Next up, a little carryover for our bike ped counter installation. This is one of our permanent counters. So we have acquired it and just install it in 2026. Next up is on the Communities in Motion 2055 Surface Transportation Block Grant Transportation Management Area, or STEG-TMA. For Communities in Motion 2055, we are adjusting that carryover amount. We did have some in our 26 budget, but when we closed out 25, got that final number, we have that final correct amount. Adjust the corresponding math. And then on the expense side, Communities in Motion 2055 is expected to wrap up next fiscal year in 2027. So we will have a carryover to that future fiscal year. So it's just adjusting that amount that we expect to bring forward. And then for 3 of the component parts there, the resiliency improvement plan, the graphics, editing, and translation of the document itself for the online element as well. And then the public involvement, the outreach aspect of the plan, adjusting all of those carryover amounts. Next up is the waterway pathway. This is also an element of Communities in Motion 2055 with its source. And so that project is underway and expected to wrap in 2026. So we're just adjusting that carryover amount to the correct amount remaining. Similarly, but in the other direction, the high capacity transit Pell study, the Stride Treasure Valley, is expected to wrap in 2026 as well. So we're adjusting that amount of carry forward that we had in the original budget down to what is left to go on that project. The carbon reduction strategy, well underway and very nearly completed in 2025. So we had just a little bit of carryover into 26 to finalize that. And I believe the board will see that at the December meeting. We have one of our project development projects that a member agency is contributing a significant share to. So we pick up, but the contract with the consultant is through Compass. So we pick up both their contribution to it and the expense side because that all runs through our contract. So just kind of an in and out on revenue and expense. And then 3 smaller adjustments. We need to come into compliance on our website for ADA compliance to make sure that it's useful for all members of the public. So we anticipate about $10,000 to get those updates made. little bit of unexpended safety campaign dollars and a little bit of funding or increase to our funding to do outreach around government affairs, sponsorships, events, and so forth. All told, we have about 415,000 in adjustments, bringing our total revenue and expense to 5.5 million. The good news is that our adjustment or use of fund balance, in the original UPWP, we didn't anticipate about 641,000. And with all of our adjustments, we are bringing that down by about 309,000 to 332. So still using some fund balance. There's 2026 that are out on the end, but not as much as we had anticipated initially. And again, continuing to monitor that closely and looking 2027 and beyond at opportunities to bring those into alignment. So we say well above that reserve requirement. That's all I got. Question.
Thank you very much, Meg. Any questions or comments?
Great job.
Yeah, great job, as usual, Meg. You make it just so user-friendly, you've got it all in there, and you just do a fantastic job, so thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Motion that we approve the revisions.
We recommend it, yeah,
Recommended vote.
that board approves it.
Yep.
Okay.
There.
Second, all right, any further discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you very much. Item 6, announcement next meeting, December 10th.
That's right.
And unless there are any further announcements or items to discuss, go ahead and we are adjourned. That was quick.
Fast.
Enjoy the rest of your lunch.
Wow, very fast.
I was like 1 step ahead today. I was
See,
like, okay.
you got a little time, it's
I
like
know.
schedule.
I know.
Moving through that there.
Good job.
Yeah.
And that, there's